Welcome to the Kale Houser Leadership Secrets podcast. Today, I want to ask, do you self-identify with failure? Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Kale Houser Leadership Secrets podcast. My name is Kale Houser, CEO and co-founder of Kale Houser Leadership, where we help small businesses just like yours become amazing at building their teams, at creating culture, attracting the right people, hiring the right people, retaining the right people, and ultimately making you the most amazing leader that you or anyone else has ever met or had the pleasure of serving with or under before. We do that in large part through our coaching business. We absolutely have a coaching business as well as potentially consulting, depending on what you're looking for in your business and how we can help you. We would love to help you out. If you have not yet, make sure you check out VIP Leadership Mastermind.com. That will give you kind of entry-level access to our world to start giving you some world-class leadership, sales, marketing, all kinds of things that go into business. We do a live call twice a week, every week on Tuesdays and Thursdays. We'd love to have you join us. And we are doing a special promotion right now, depending on when you are listening to this, how far into the future. You'll get pretty much half off your first month, no obligation, month-to-month membership, and come try it out, check us out, see if it's something that we can be helpful and of benefit to you, because we would love to do that. That is really where our heart lies, is being able to help small business owners, leaders that are struggling. Maybe you got thrown into a leadership position. You kind of realize very quickly probably that, holy smokes, this takes an entirely different set of skills than whatever it was that got you to that position or that promotion. So we would love to help you with that. One of the big things that a lot of leaders struggle with, especially newer leaders, again, going back to that example of maybe you were promoted into a leadership position, or maybe you kind of got this wild hair and you started your own business and you started hiring people, and now you're like, oh, I don't know how to manage these people. I don't know how to get them going, let alone build teams and build culture and create something that's actually phenomenal that people want to be a part of. But it is so often, and it is so common, especially on the entrepreneurial side, but anytime you're held to a higher standard, as most leaders are, right? Because the leaders are people that other people look up to. They look up to as an example, maybe as a mentor, as a role model. So they hold you to a little bit higher standard, maybe even just based on your experience, your age, things of that nature that other people haven't necessarily had. So they're looking to you as the expert. But it is easy for us, in any sort of leadership capacity, and really at large, for us to develop this attitude, to develop this persona that we really start to self-identify with failure. Let me say that again and ask you, do you self-identify with failure? Is failure part of who you are? When you internally, and you probably don't go around, saying it out loud or at networking events like, hi, I'm Kale, I'm a failure. Like, that's probably not it. But if you think about it, if you access the recesses of your mind and those moments, maybe you had a recent setback, maybe you had a failure, do you say, I am a failure? And are you self-identifying yourself as a failure? Is this a problem that you have, that you struggle with? And I'll tell you, if it is, one, you're not alone. Two, we kind of all go through these moments. It's a very rare person that can have an all the time, 100% upbeat, like go-getter kind of attitude. But three is, you don't have to. It's your choice. Failure, there's a very common, kind of the poster up on the wall, feel-good motivational thing is, failure is not a lifestyle. Failure is not an attitude. Failure is an event. How do we learn from it and move on? How do we learn from that point of failure, that lesson learned, to not repeat it, to do things different in order to not experience that same kind of level of failure? Now, I would argue, if you found yourself repeatedly, cyclically going through those cycles of failure, there's something a little bit deeper that you need to look at. And one is, are you self-identifying with being a failure, of like, oh, it's never going to work. So no matter what I do, it's never gonna happen. It's never gonna work out for me. People like me just don't succeed. People like me just can't ever be successful. Blah 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 blah. Right? The list goes on and on and on. Just insert whatever it is you've got going on in your industry. And what it comes down to is that attitude and that perspective of, one, you've probably not had anyone show you what is possible. So you don't even have that example of saying, you know what, other people have done it, I can do that too. And that is a common thing. It's kind of like going, being back in the 1700s and going, I'm going to go to the moon. Like, rocket science didn't even exist then. we didn't, at that point, they didn't even know, could you breathe on the moon? Like, there was no concept for people to understand that until we started advancing our science, and it became something that was at least theoretically possible as we learned more. There were examples that had gone before them as these scientists, using this example of getting to the moon, and they just kept building on it through the failures. Think about the entire, if you're geeking out with me a little bit on the rocket science industry, think about the entire history of it and the failures and the setbacks and the explosions and the deaths. You can even go to our shuttle program and the Apollo program. Like, deaths happen, failures happen, but they didn't identify with failure. They understand it was a process, a learning process. Mistakes were made, absolutely. Setbacks happened, of course. Failures occurred, yes. But it never stopped them from moving forward because they had that goal in mind, because they had those targets at the top of the priority list. And people were willing to, in the case of NASA and the rocket program, put their life on the line to reach these goals and targets because they were so significant. Now, I'm not saying, in your business and you're running your local bakery or pizza shop or your HVAC business that, people need to put themselves on the line, but are you creating something so amazing and an opportunity for people to be a part of that they're willing and able? Are you communicating the prospect of success to where even when you have the setbacks, the mistakes, the failures, the random stuff that just happens in day-to-day life, are they able to not identify with that event as part of who they are, or your company as part of what your company is, but they can move on and see it as that learning point? And this all really came to the forefront of mind. I've been listening to Grant Cardone's 10X Mentor. It's only on Audible, at least that I know of right now. I would highly encourage you to grab it. It is phenomenal. It's basically if you could just sit down with Grant and he's talking into you about all the lessons he learned and all the mindset stuff, and give him an opportunity to be your mentor for a little bit. And he kind of talks about this in that Audible, in that audiobook, about a big part of our problem and what causes us to not be successful is we continue to self-identify with failure. And that goes back to the self-talk, that goes back to the attitudes, it goes back to the lack of mentors and lack of people showing you where to and how to get to your targets and goals. All kinds of things go into that. But ultimately, it is your choice. You do not have to self-identify with failure. You can self-identify as a successful person. You can self-identify as a winner, even if you don't necessarily have the credentials to back it up right away. This isn't the same as trying to try out for an NBA team or the NFL or Major League Soccer or the Major League Baseball, to where, you've got to have some history and some proven metrics before they take you onto the team to become part of a winning team. No, in business, you make your own path. You set your own goals. You set your own tasks and priorities in order to be successful in what's determined by you to be successful. And you can absolutely do that. If that's something that we can help you with, 100% we can help you with that. All you need to do is let us help you. So make sure you please hit VIP Leadership Mastermind. Let me know what you think. Sign up today. Give us a shot. We'd love to, see if we can start making some of those positive changes in your life to move you away from that I'm a failure to this is my potential. These are my goals. This is what I need to do to get to them. And they're 100% worth it to have that success in your life, whatever that looks like for you. That may be financially, that may be personally, that may be relationally, physical, all those types of things certainly go into that as kind of that whole success and what that means to you. So 2 things: stop self-identifying with failure. If you kind of realize like, oh, that's me, that negative self-talk, and that, I kind of refer to myself as a failure, nothing's going to work for me, blah, 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 right? And then the second, go on to Audible right now, download the 10X Mentor by Grant Cardone and start giving it a listen. It is absolutely phenomenal. I've done some previous podcasts on it because every time I go through it, there's something else that I kind of pick up that, of course, hits me in a different phase of my life or a different time in my life, or just something pops out that maybe I was distracted on before. And this was certainly one of them, is stop self-identifying with failure. Okay, it's not you. You're the winner. Be the winner. And we look forward to talking to you. No matter where you're at in the world, have a fantastic afternoon. Bye.